Hi there, and welcome to my small YouTube channel. Today's subject is the art of farting. Oops, sorry about that. But since I was assaulted by cancer, rectal cancer to be more specific, my derriere has become quite musical. Just imagine if I became a member of an orchestra and I was dressed in a tuxedo that had a flap covering my rear end. Every time I let one go, the flap would blow open. Perhaps that one big note, or a magnificent crescendo of a bum drum roll building up to an operatic climax, would set it apart from the basic orchestra. And the aroma, that magnificent stink, would have the audience applauding as they wiped the tears from their eyes, plugged their noses, and fled the auditorium. I don't know about you, but oops. That one big-eyed wonder spoke again. Kind of rude if you ask me. As I was saying, we have all let one go, and sometimes at the most inopportune time. Like perhaps in the middle of a church sermon, at the altar giving your vows, or standing in a police lineup. Although people may turn their noses up from the noxious, scintillating stench, they usually can't help smiling, or even laughing out loud. I know I have. I think it was about 8 years ago. My wife and I were on a road trip from New Brunswick to Newfoundland. Our Dodge Silverado truck at the time was pulling our hippie hangout trailer. I was thankful that we had our own toilet because I spent as much time sitting on it as I did in the front seat of the truck. Whenever we stayed at any campsites, we always made sure to park near the washrooms. And I often, farting all the way, just managed to make it to the toilet. I often went on long walks along the shore or a forest path, so that whenever I farted, I only startled seagulls poking about the beach, or small creatures scurrying through the bushes and trees. Not to get off track, but when I was just a lad, I let the most remarkable fart go one dark and quiet night. A friend of mine and I had climbed up a neighbor's cherry tree, and while we were filling our pockets and guts with big, juicy black Bing cherries, 2 women stepped out of the house. One was seeing the other off, and they stopped and began chatting right below us. The time you were praying for a silent fart, I let go one of the loudest farts ever. Dang near blew a hole in my jeans. One of the women said, "Did you hear that?" And the other one said, "Not to worry, that's a robin, and she's sitting on her eggs up in her nest." Well, hell, my friend and I almost fell out of the tree, we were laughing so hard. You know that kind of laugh, the one where your mouth is wide open, not a sound coming out, but your whole body is shaking with glee. When my wife and I returned home, because my body was reacting more abnormally than usual, I went to see a doctor. After blood work, a couple of biopsies, he told me that I had rectal cancer and an operation was needed to remove it. Between the operation, radiation, and chemotherapy, my poop chute would never be the same again. I had an ileostomy bag attached to my body for a year, while I slowly recovered. Although I am still in recession, my bum doesn't work the same anymore. When I gotta go, because there isn't any more resistance. Just thinking about that, what can I say? It just seems to be appropriate to blast one off at this moment. I can clench my bum cheeks real tight and hold it off for a bit. But man, I better hightail it to a toilet, lickety-split. I live in the country, and not that long ago in the summer, when there are a lot of people around, I was taking our little dog McGee for a walk. Wouldn't you know it, I had to take an immediate crap, and I mean immediately, or I was going to fill my pants. Looking up and down the road, seeing no vehicles in sight, I dropped my pants and let it fly. Luckily, some large leaves were nearby, and by the time I had wiped my rear end and had just barely pulled up my pants, a car came into view. I may be an actual artist, but believe you me, there is a real art to taking a dump in the middle of the road while holding the dog's leash, wiping my posterior clean, then pulling up my pants and waving at the guy passing by in his car. And on that note, it's time to make a dash to the porcelain throne. I feel a gusher coming on. Holy smokes.